I turned around, and my father was gone. I was 7 years old. And I was alone in the middle of a summer fair. It started 20 minutes before that. My father took me to the fair every August. That year the fair was bigger than before. There were lights in all the trees. There was music from 3 different places. And there was a long line of food stalls. I held my father's hand at the gate. He said, "Stay close tonight, there are a lot of people." I said, "I know." Then I saw the candy stall. It was pink and yellow, and it was turning slowly. I let go of his hand for 1 second. When I looked back, I saw 100 people. None of them was my father. I was too small to see over anybody. I could only see coats and bags and legs. So I started walking. I looked for his dark red jacket. I walked past the game stalls. I walked past a man selling hot corn. The music got louder. The lights got brighter. Then I stopped, because I understood something. I didn't know where the gate was anymore. I sat down on the ground next to a wooden box. I didn't cry, but I was very close. Then a woman said, "Are you here alone?" She was selling balloons. She had a wide face and a long gray coat. There were about 50 balloons above her head. I said, "I can't find my dad." She didn't take my hand. She didn't take me anywhere. She said, "Then we won't move." She gave me a red balloon. She said, "Hold this high, don't sit down again." I asked her why. She said, "Your father isn't looking at faces." She said, "He's looking above all the people." So I stood up. And I held that balloon as high as I could. My arm hurt after 2 minutes. I held it anyway. 4 or 5 minutes later, I heard my name. My father came through the crowd very fast. He didn't shout at me. He just held me for a long time, and his hands were shaking. Then he thanked the balloon woman. She only said, "He did the work, he stood still." I'm 27 now. I still remember the smell of that fair. And I still remember the rule. When you are lost, stand still and be easy to find. 20 years later, I was lost again, on a train at night. It was my first night train. I got on at 10 in the evening. The trip was 11 hours long. I had a window seat and one small bag. I was a little nervous. I had never slept on a train before. An old woman sat down opposite me. She had short white hair and small round glasses. She wore a dark blue coat, and she kept it on all night. She had a paper bag of oranges on her knees. For almost an hour, we didn't speak. Then she gave me an orange. She said, "You can't sleep, can you?" I said, "No, I've never done this before." She said, "I've done it 40 times." Her name was Marta. She took that same train every year in October. Always the same train, always the same night. I asked her if she had family in the north. She said no. She said, "I met my husband on this train. They were both 22. He had the seat opposite hers. He talked for 9 hours. She pretended to sleep for 6 of them. She was laughing when she told me that. Then she said he died 4 years ago. She still takes the train. She said, "The train is a good place to think about somebody." After that, she looked at the dark window for a while. Then she said, "Don't sleep tonight." I asked her why. She said, "The best part is at 5 o'clock." I asked her what happened at 5 o'clock. She said, "You'll see it, everybody misses it." Because everybody sleeps. At 2 in the morning, I nearly slept. I drank cold coffee from the machine to stay awake. At 4, the train stopped at a very small station. Marta stood up and put on her hat. This was her station. She said, 5 o'clock, stay awake. Then she walked down the platform under one yellow light. I stayed awake. Everybody else in my carriage was sleeping. At 10 to 5, the train went through a long tunnel. And when it came out, the sea was there. It was gray for 1 minute. Then it turned pink, and then it turned gold. The light came right into the carriage. It came across the empty seat in front of me. I take a night train once a year now. I always take a seat on the right side. And I never sleep at 5 o'clock. 6 months after that train, I was 40 minutes late on my first day at a new job. I planned that morning very carefully. The night before, I put my bag by the door. I chose my shirt. I set 2 alarms. The office was in a part of the city I didn't know. So I looked at the map 3 times. Then, at 7 in the morning, the metro line closed. There was a paper sign on the station door. And there was a crowd of very quiet, very angry people. I read that sign twice. Then I got on a bus. The bus was full, and it was hot. It also went the wrong way for me. I got off after 4 stops and started walking. I walked past a market that was just opening. I walked past 2 men putting chairs outside a cafe. And then, of course, it started to rain. I had no umbrella. I had a map on my phone and 11% battery. I arrived at the office at 20 to 10. My shoes made a noise on the floor. Water was running off my jacket onto their clean gray carpet. Somewhere behind a glass wall, a meeting was already starting. I was ready for a terrible first day. A woman at the front desk looked up. She had dark hair in a low bun and small silver earrings. She didn't look at the clock. She said, "You must be Alex." Then she took a small pack of paper towels out of her drawer. She said, "The metro closed. Half the building is late." She said, "Your meeting moved to 10:30. I said sorry about 4 times anyway. She only said, "First days are like this. Go and sit down." My desk was by the window at the end of the room. There was a computer, a chair, and 1 cup of tea. It was still hot. Under the cup there was a small yellow note. It said, "Welcome, the heater is behind you." I didn't know who wrote it. I never found out. I sat down and put both hands around that cup. The window was full of gray rain. And I was completely fine. I worked in that office for 3 years. Nobody ever talked about my first morning again. I don't remember the meeting at 10:30. But I still remember the tea. A few weeks later, a man at a bus stop said my name. It was a Tuesday, and it was raining hard. I was waiting for the number 9 bus. A man under the next umbrella turned to me. He said, "Alex?" For about 3 seconds I didn't know him. Then I did. It was Chris. We were 15 together. We were in the same class for 4 years. Then his family moved, and we stopped writing. That was 10 years ago. He looked completely different. At school he had long hair and old shoes. Now he had short hair, glasses and a dark suit. He was carrying a bag with a small pink jacket inside it. His daughter's jacket. The number 9 bus came. We both looked at it. And we both let it go. We went to a cafe on the corner. The first 10 minutes were strange. We asked each other careful questions. How's work? Where are you living now? It felt like an interview, not a friendship. I started to think there was nothing left. Then the waiter came, and Chris ordered. He asked for a hot chocolate with 2 sugars. At 3 in the afternoon. In a coffee shop. He did exactly the same thing when we were 15. I laughed, and then he laughed. And after that, we could really talk. He told me about his daughter. Her name is Mia, and she is 2. He told me he was tired all the time, and very happy. I told him about the night train. We stayed in that cafe for 2 hours. The rain stopped, and neither of us noticed. Now we meet on the first Saturday of every month. Here is the thing I keep thinking about. Chris changed his city, his hair, his job, and his whole life. He kept one small silly thing. And that small thing was the door. So, 4 people. A woman with balloons, a woman with oranges, a cup of tea from somebody I never met, and an old friend under an umbrella. None of them was my family. All of them changed the day. You're listening to Slow English Listening. If these stories helped you, please subscribe for a new story every week. There's another level 2 story about getting lost in a city, and the link is on the screen now. Thank you for listening. See you next time.